welcome to another episode of Defeasible Reasoning. My name is Professor Andrew Rozema, broadcasting live from the Defeasible Reasoning studios that are now moved into the Media Center of Grand Rapids Community College, the Center for CyberSecurity Studies, here once again on the 43rd floor with our guest today, James King, and producer Noah Smith. Jim, I wanted to have you on to hear about your Spider-Man origin story. So you're in the lab, the radioactive spider crawls up your arm and bites you. How'd that all go down for you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It was actually the fifth spider. I had to try a couple to make sure that it worked. I'm going to preempt this with saying that I am fighting a cold right now. So if my voice falters, it is mostly because Professor Rozema is intimidating, but also the cold thing. So.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to be 6'4" and not just kind of tower over people sometimes. Fast learner, faster runner.
Yeah, I am actually quite a fast runner. Anytime you want to take me up on that, I know you have the long legs like you just mentioned. I'm
an old, tired man, friend. I got distance. If you're not trained, I could probably beat you at 13 miles if you had to like stop and lay down. But but otherwise, like I'm a 10-minute miler on a good day. Mm-hmm. My guess would be if you list fast runner, you're probably a little something quicker than that. I
haven't timed it in quite a long time, to be honest. But
the last time you timed it,
I have no clue.
What you run a mile in? No, probably faster than 10 minutes. All right, 10 years in IT. We met because you were one of the, like, that first year we ran the ethical hacking class, we had a really interesting group of students, and you were amongst them.
Yeah.
But like, I wasn't your first encounter with education, right? You had
no.
So where'd you start out? Like how? And you're something of a farm boy, right?
Yeah, I actually grew up on a farm.
Like literally a farm where cows were milked and chickens were murdered?
Yep. Yes. Nice. I've done a fair amount of chicken murdering.
They're delicious. I don't mind.
Most people don't like doing that part. They just like eating them. But it's good to know where your stuff comes from.
I hunted just for the ethical point of saying, yes, I have killed my own food and done the things you need to do from the point of killing to the point of the table. And I feel like I can handle that.
So to your point, I did, in fact, grow up on a farm, a very small village of about 120 people in northern Michigan.
Like UP northern Michigan or?
No, northeast by Alpena would be the largest place with an airport. So that being said, my grandmother gave me an apple Lisa when I was like 8, and that changed my life. And I kind of knew I didn't want to be a farmer forever. It all started there. That was my IT background. Started with the apple Lisa, and then computers. It was the first time I realized, like, hey, this machine does exactly what I tell it to, and nothing else.
And I like that.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Although nowadays, I think your job is basically making the machines do what people don't tell them to do.
Well, they do what I tell them to. So,
in part.
They do what you tell them to do up until the point of the robot uprising, which we all know is coming.
It's coming. We're trying to assuage your fears of the AI takeover.
Yeah.
So what do you do now officially?
I'm a pen tester.
Is ninja in the title technically?
Yeah, no. Well, that's the nice thing about working for a small company is you can invent your own title.
Right.
So pretty much whatever. Yeah.
Chief Ninjutsu Officer.
Yeah.
Director of Cybers. So in penetration testing for the uninitiated, when we talk about ethical hacking, this is basically one of the primary jobs we're talking about. What's a day in the life look like for you?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I assume it's the best career you can have with penetration in the name. I've always.
Ouch.
But so I'm would be called a full scope red teamer. We penetrate corporate networks, and we go on site and physically break into buildings. We do app and code audits and
physically break in? Like at nighttime you creep up in your black mask and like
usually during the day. Okay. So we'll do the whole tailgate and drop some stuff on the network and Raspberry Pis,
Tailgating's the act of walking in, like when you use your card and you're a nice guy and you let the pretty young lady behind you in the building, even though you didn't see her card. No, I saw you do this. Next thing you know, she's plugging Raspberry Pis into your network.
So I don't, the audience here for this podcast, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I can try to.
Neither are we.
Okay. But I can try to avoid jargon. That would probably be a good thing to do.
No. We're happy to explain. Noah's role in the podcast is to be the uninitiated. Right?
Yeah, sure. So I produce the show. My background is not in computers. I mean, it is tangentially because I work with technology to be creative, but I certainly don't work at technology near the level as the various folks that come in here do. So
Fair.
Sort of a user as opposed to a engineer or a breaker of technologies.
yeah. So if it starts to get like a little too wild in here, that's where I hopefully like bring it down, you know.
You were telling me about an engagement where if you've ever seen The Matrix, you know, where they're running through the city, they've got a guy at VDA, and I don't want to disclose any secrets. I know that like it's a shadowy business, but the term swole bro might apply here. Like looked like he's snapped more than chicken necks in his history.
Hi, Greg.
And I guess that you were playing the role of Tank from The Matrix, or Tank, I need an exit. Turn left, turn right, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, that's kind of cool.
So that's a physical pen testing engagement, right? Where you're like, see what, you know, we've got all these policies about this is how you're supposed to behave. Jim's job is to figure out, oh, guess what? They're not doing those policies.
And the company's hired you to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just randomly shows up at places.
So
FYI, we're breaking in.
You know, obviously I can't say drop names here.
Sure,
but we had an engagement in the Midwest recently, and we were scoping out the place. Front door had 3 different signs that said no tailgating. Watch for tailgaters. Right. So we went around the other side, and someone let us in. You know, that's
because that was the door without the signs.
Yep, and it worked. So it's kind of funny, but that's usually kind of that easy in most places, most not super high security facilities.
The whole Marlboro Country thing is a good ploy. You know, you go out, have a cigarette,
correct? Yeah,
wander back in.
And then so you mentioned the swole bro, but he is a very large man, and he doesn't smoke. So we're like, hey, you should go pretend to smoke. And he's like, yeah, no one will suspect the 6'3" large black man smoking a cigarette for the first time.
Where'd you come from, sir? Well, you know, and that's always been my problem too. Like, I am not the gray man. You know, like sometimes your physical characteristics just out you, and like you notice the 6'4" dude. It's just like, because they might hit you with a club. You're genetically predisposed to do that. So I assume the way you become a penetration tester is you pay 25 cents for a copy of the Grand Rapids Press, and you open it to the jobs section, and it says, penetration tester wanted. Please mail your resume to the following address. Include return postage or something like that. Is that how that works?
If that was in the newspaper, I would definitely send a resume via email that was malicious. But yeah, funny tangent to that, actually, a red teamer friend of mine, Aaron Herndon at Rapid 7, actually got his job because he actually fished the person that was interviewing him.
Nicely done. I wouldn't necessarily recommend everybody try that.
Yeah, no, not every employment opportunity is should you send malicious Word docs to.
Probably a bad idea. Did it work? Did he pop his box with a malicious Word doc?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Suckers.
Yep.
That's not nice. Don't try that at home, kids. So yeah, but like, what was the path? I'm sure it wasn't just I applied.
Right. The road to being a pen tester, and to be totally fair, this is my dream job. This is what I wanted to do ever since I heard about what it was. In my opinion, it's the closest you can get to being like a spy in the private sector. Right. It's a long journey to be to know the things you need to know, and it's not just a journey; it's a continuous education.
I often call it the technology treadmill. You just
it
are
never
not allowed
ends.
to stop.
And for me personally, it's something that has drawn me to this career is the fact that it never ends. Because I've had a lot of different careers, and I started working full time when I was 13, and I haven't stopped since. And I've always had these jobs where I would sort of learn the ropes, and then I know it like the back of my hand, and nothing changes, right? And that's when satisfaction in that employment plummets, right? Because it's not new stuff. Here in this field, it never ends. It's always constantly new stuff, and that was one of the biggest draws to me in the first place.
So that was the sort of the strategic part of it. Did school play a part?
Yeah. There's always a place and time, and there's certainly many routes to the same destination, but higher education certainly helps. I'm here because I went to Grand Rapids Community College.
Plug.
Yep. There we go. There it is.
This podcast brought to you by the Grand Rapids Community College Center for Cybersecurity Studies, now accepting applications for the winter semester.
I highly suggest it. So higher education, it plays a big role. I went to Grand Valley. I took some online classes. I actually went through Harvard's CS50 program as well. That was a good intro to programming and all things sort of lower entry cyber stuff. That was a great program to go through. Grand Valley's computer science program was all right.
They are about to build an actual like CIS program over there. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see how that turns out. They're trying to spend like $50 million to build a building, bring on some new.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's money.
I always like InfoSec spans CS, traditional computer science,
Yes.
building towers of Hanoi and optimizing search results and stuff. And then sort of the tactical hands-on stuff that we focus on, here. And that's more the computer information system. So
Yeah, information security in
we
general.
love our friends up out west.
spans a lot of. It's
Covers
very
that whole
broad.
gambit, right?
Yeah. Someone said to me the other day that there's no living person that knows how every part of a computer works.
Right. Probably not a lie. This week, we'll see how this transition works. In pursuing my own walk down the technology treadmill, doing SANS 503, which is their in-depth incident response course. They tell you it's about incident response, but really what it is memorize all of the bits in the IP packet header, the TCP packet, at least be able to pop them back out when they ask you questions about them, understand where they are. And I thought I knew networking pretty well. Like you mentioned online education. You can go look up the first assignment for Stanford's networking course. I don't remember the course number, but it's their first networking course. And like assignment 1 is download the RFC for TCP and write your own implementation in C, which is, you're going to learn it. And so SANS has kind of got that same approach. And I think I've mentioned this on the pod before, that they're what got me into information security back before you were, well, it sounds like back when you had your first job. But their jam is certification, and I'm wondering how certification impacted your ability to get in the door with our friends over there at VDA Labs.
Sure thing. Yeah. So first of all, I think SANS is Latin for without, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to tell people I have,
The
SANS
without certification.
Yeah.
Je suis sans certification.
Certification is big for a lot of different reasons. Many employers, and I would honestly tend to say that my current employer is bigger on what you know, what you can do, and how you can show it, and not so much the certification.
Sure.
But certainly our clients, and that's the big get, right? If you have clients, they're going to want to see those letters on the end of your name.
Right. That's
just always, it's a good way to show them that you know what you're doing. As far as pieces of paper go.
Right, and it's a shorthand for the. I had a conversation with the CISO over at one of the large grocery retailers in town, and he said something to me that I like to pass on to students a lot, which is like, that means that I can spend, if you've got certification X, that means I can kind of assume you've at least studied it, and like we can skip over that part of the interview and we can start with like fit and field kind of questions. Are you going to work out well here?
Right. And that's a fair assessment. And that's what I think certification does a very good job at getting people into, past HR filters and
Right.
really stacks the resume. And maybe, I know you're trying to plug certification, or at least I think you are. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask, because I kind of have a...
oh no, I'm always interested in the honest opinion. My advice to students is also frequently, the certification you want is the certification the guy who's interviewing you has. Because the woman sitting across from the table with you, if she's got a CISSP, she thought it was important to go get a CISSP. So it might not be a bad idea for you to have one too.
Excellent advice. Another plug for GRCC's program, because he's the professor.
We don't do a CISP certification here.
Not yet, right? It might be coming.
Yeah, that'll be a workforce thing though.
Okay.
Yeah, but hey, thanks for reminding me to plug that.
So yeah, certification, you got to attack it at all angles, right? Certification certainly helps, but in the same breath, you look at people like Chris Roberts, who arguably one of the best hackers in the world right now, or certainly one of the best that I've met, who was handing out not a CISP badges at KurzCon, right? So yeah, I go for certs. I mean, it's a good thing to have, and you will learn, especially with SANS certifications in their training. It's almost like a job shadow. Some of these that I've been to, where they're using real world data. The people who wrote the course are teaching you the course, instead of like some of the lower end certifications from other organizations. CompTIA, I'll just say.
CompTIA is entry level. That's fine.
Yeah, they're. So that's just kind of like it's like a regurgitation, or like the ITIL is kind of like glossary of terms almost.
Right. CISSP is guilty of that. But they brag about being 50 miles wide but an inch deep.
Right.
So you have to be able to regurgitate basically an overview of the entire field, but not necessarily know any of it in particular great depth.
Yeah, and so the CISP does a very good job at helping you understand how organizations, in particular large organizations, work and how they get stuff done and how the lifecycle management works and all that stuff. So if you want to be a consultant, that's a wonderful certification to have. Also management, if you're going to be in the management level at an organization.
The other thing that certifications really pay off for is if you're looking for a government gig, they have this checkbox. I forget the DoD directive, something 508, I think. If you've got this checkbox, you can do these jobs. If you've checked this checkbox, you can do these jobs, and those are all based on, Security Plus is like the entry level one. You can do the entry level job, and if you've got CEH or one of those, you can do the next level up. If you got a CSP, you can do that. So
that's precisely correct, and kind of goes along with what I was saying about getting past those filters and stuff. So the government in particular, they recognize the CEH, the Certified Ethical Hacker, but they don't recognize the OSCP, which anybody in pen testing will tell you is miles above CEH. So that's just kind of something you got to take with a grain of salt. Right. I mean, not if you're trying to work for government. Like, don't take it with a grain of salt. Do it.
For sure. Yeah, the CEH folks are trying to get on board with that physical thing. They added with their latest iteration like an add-on cert called the practical, where they're going to do basically the same kind of test that the OSCP does, where you here's a VPN access to a network, break into a bunch of the computers, go. So a little bit of college, a little bit of certification work. You are one of the most engaging people I know personally. And it seems to me that fearlessness about meeting people and talking to people had to play some kind of role in you getting to where you are.
That is a good question. I'm glad you brought it up, because
kind of the networking piece, right?
Yeah, it's huge. It's monumental. I've never been on a podcast before. Everybody's like, yeah, I knew that. But the point I was brought that up because you have to get out of your comfort zone, right? You absolutely have to learn more things. You have to engage with new people. You have to go out. You have to. It's like, hey, I want to be a pen tester. Well, have you talked with pen testers, right? I thought I wanted to make circuit boards for a living. That's what I originally thought when I came down here freshman year. I was like, that's cool. I loved electricity. I loved playing at that level. And then I talked with people who had the degree that I was going for, and they're like, yeah, there's no work here in Michigan for that kind of a thing. And I was
go to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, that's a good thing to know. So, right, the point there is you go meet the people that are doing what you want to do and see what they have to tell you.
Or it sounds like what you think you want to do.
Right.
Because it turns out.
Precisely.
Well, was staying in Michigan a big deal for you?
Oh, I like Michigan. I like the Four Seasons.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. I went down last year to visit my brother-in-law in Florida. And this was right after Thanksgiving. So this is about a year ago. And so Christmas time is like in full force, right? Right after Thanksgiving, Christmas is like, you're ready for Christmas. And it's like 90 degrees. There's no snow in sight. It's all it's completely tropical. We went to my nieces and nephews' Christmas concert at their school, and they're singing these carols, and we walk outside, and it's like sweltering. And I'm like, what is happening? How do these people live in this place? Yeah, it's crazy.
My older sister moved to Florida like 8 years ago, and I have not been down to visit her.
It's fine. We're going down. I sail, so we're going down to go sailing over the Christmas holiday. It is a little disjointed, though. We did my grandparents' 50th anniversary several years ago, and it was weird. We were out for New Year's in shorts. So I'm like, that's a thing people can do. So to bring it back, what types of networking did you do to meet these people? You mentioned GRCon.
Yeah.
You showed up at the local security conference. Plug for GRCon.
Love GRCon. Yeah. Big fan. Tons to learn there. You'll meet a ton of cool people doing really cool things.
You'll meet Chris Roberts, who, to the uninitiated, is the dude who one time got pulled off an airplane as he was trying to walk back to the gates because he may or may not have tampered with the computer flight control systems on that airplane. I believe that has been thoroughly debunked. But
I think he is not allowed to fly Delta. At any rate, that's the kind of thing that's going on in GRCon. But in West Michigan, we actually do have a pretty good. We got a lot going on here, to say the least. There's the ISSA, the ISC Squared. There's different organizations for the uninitiated. They're they stand for things, International Systems Security Association, and et cetera, et cetera. But Professor Rosema across the table from me is a great person to ask about these things. He was one of the first people to tell me about some of the stuff going on here in West Michigan, as a matter of fact. So yeah, right.
I choke up.
But there is, I mean, the very fact that I get to do my job here in West Michigan, I didn't have to leave for that, is a good sign. And we have companies like Grimm is coming into Rockford, I believe, and they're
Greenville, maybe.
Okay, Greenville, and then yeah, they're in Ann Arbor, and we have some other. The cybersecurity field is kind of booming a little bit, I would say, in West Michigan, which is a very good thing. There's tons of organizations. Meetup app I recommend for people who, especially people who travel to. I used it. I was kind of a jet setter there for a while, and in each city I would go to, I'd pull up the Meetup app, and there would always be some kind of security event going on, and I would go say hi and then see what was up and learn some stuff and share some information.
Yeah, it's a great app. I used it when we go down to visit my brother-in-law to play soccer with pick up soccer with folks down there, because I play a lot of soccer, and when I travel I like to do that in other places, and it was totally awesome to use that app to like find other people who are into that too. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, yeah, you can do that with cybersecurity too.
Yeah. Oh,
and soccer.
It's not
at the same time. Hack while you play.
It's worth noting that I met my boss at one of these events.
Oh, so you,
yeah,
Dr. Jared DeMont, right?
Yeah, correct. He spoke at ISSA, I believe, a couple years ago.
I think I remember that. Was he rocking the dope? Is that a DEF CON leather he's got?
Yeah.
Jelly. So jelly.
What's DEF CON leather?
Oh, a leather jacket with the DEF CON logo on it.
Oh, okay.
Which is half of Hacker Summer Camp.
A number of ways. But
you saw that picture where I just left part of my mustache on it for No Shave November. Yeah, let's walk away from the leather jacket comment. So
yeah, I think we're
local security organizations, get out there and meet people. I will note here that I frequently will award extra credit points in my classes just to encourage people to get out there and do the things, to meet people, talk to people. So important for you.
It is.
Cutter of proverbial Gordian knots. You don't cut literal Gordian knots, just the proverbial ones?
Well, the Gordian knot was already cut, so
can't
do it again, I guess. Can be.
That's on James's LinkedIn description, by the way.
Yeah,
if you're wondering what that was.
Yeah,
What could you explain what that? I have no idea what that means. Cutter of proverbial Gordian knots.
So the Gordian knot was this famous yoke that was tied in such a mess, and it was. I forget exactly what you would call the seer or person who said, whoever can untangle this knot is going to be the rightful ruler. And I think it was
Oracle of Delphi, maybe?
Yeah. You're on the Googles, right?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me go.
There you go.
So it's like a sword in the stone situation?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. But the idea here is that the clever solution was not to untie it, but to take your sword out and cut it in half. But that's so I put that on there because consulting for a while. We'll get 15 people in a room, progress meeting, right? Where all progress stops because everybody's in the meeting. But these people will try to come up with very, very complex and complicated solutions for problems that there might be otherwise very simple solutions for. You just got to think outside the box, which is, by the way, pen testing is very much about thinking outside the box and not just taking a single known approach, but you really got to look at things from all angles. You got to come at it from other side. You got to step away sometimes and think, is this the only way I can be doing this? Is there other ways in? Can I go this way? Can I go that way? Can I go on site? All these different things that would really come in handy. Curiosity too plays a big role.
Sure,
I have always defined myself as curious. I think above all else. It's why I get out. It's why I meet people. It's why I do things, because I am curious about all kinds of stuff. Beyond, I did grow up on a farm, but like I do pen testing. I'm a hacker, right? But also like I love gardening. I love cooking. I love biology.
Yeah, I mean, it's critical curiosity, I think, to everything.
Yeah, absolutely is.
If only we could just magically impart that on people. Hey, man, be curious. All right. Well, I would like to thank our guest, James King, engineer, consultant, OSINT Ninja, Webmaster, CyberSecurity Guru, and cutter of proverbial Gordian knots. Other than the LinkedIns, do you have any social medias you like to push?
I am on Twitter as it's Pineapple Boots.
Pineapple Boots. That's a story for another time.
Yep.
And that's it. I'm at Drew Rosema on the Twitters. No, do you have a social media?
No, I don't. Facebook.
Partake?
I Twitter anonymously.
All right,
and I Reddit anonymously.
All right, you guys out there want to dox Anonymous over here, go for it.
Real quick, I will. Reddit has a couple of good communities. NetSec, Ask NetSec, How to Hack, Hacking, a couple of the other ones. They're actually pretty good communities. If you get involved, there's good links, good discussions. So
cool. So
since you said Reddit, I just
too.
thought I'd throw that in there.
Great.
Our NetSec plug for you guys. All right, and thank you again for listening, our loyal listeners.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Professor Rosema and Noah. Appreciate it.
All right, remember to like and subscribe. Mash that like button down there at the bottom. Or do the iTunes thing. Review. Only 5 stars. The rest of you, go look at another podcast and review them poorly. Thanks again. Defeasible Reasoning is produced at the Epic Studios of Grand Rapids Community College, Media Technologies Department. Epically executive produced by Noah D. Smith and hosted by me, Drew Rosen.